Hi there, this is Alistair Atkin from Atkin Guitars in the UK. This is Philip Meekins.
Hi there.
He's the head of our finishing department. And today we want to talk to you about our finish. It's something that a lot of people talk about. I think we're pretty well known for the finish that we do, but there's a few things that are worth describing and talking about because it's a very thin finish and I think it can worry certain people. And I think us giving you an explanation about what it's all about may help you get your head round owning one of our guitars. So we've been doing this finish for, I think I started it about 15 years ago, and it's an ultra thin nitrocellulose lacquer, which I've always used nitrocellulose, but we used to do a mirror finish, and then gradually we got to this situation where it got thinner and thinner and thinner because I was trying to get as much out of the sound of the guitar as possible whilst giving it this really cool vibe, wanting to give it a sort of vintage look. And I think just giving you an explanation about what that's all about might help. So we've got this guitar here, which is one of our J43s. We use it for doing test things on. Here you can see that we were developing a bridge jig, so we were using this guitar for that. It's an old guitar that's been used for routing and binding, and anything that we need to demo on a guitar, we'll use something like this. But it does have our aged finish on it, and if you come close, Raf, I don't know how well you can pick that up if I shine it, but you can see it's got some checking in it. Typically now, how many coats are you guys putting on these?
Oh, it's only, something like 8.
Yeah, so that's 8 passes with the spray gun. It's going to be grain filled first, so there's a paste that we rub into the pores, and then after that the grain filler gets cut back, so try and make it as flush as possible, and that's when the guys can start spraying the lacquer. And so run through the lacquer, the system that you're using at the moment. You'll spray a coat on first and then start building colour.
Yeah, so we start off with a base coat of lacquer just to make sure that the colour's not going to seep into the wood. Sort of seals it off a little bit, and then we put on normally just one coat of colour, trying to keep it as light as possible and just achieve the finish we want in as fewer passes. And then it's just a case of, we build up, I think it's 5 coats, get the sort of depth of the grain built up. Then we just sand back with some 800 grit sandpaper. Don't know if that's necessary information, but
well, it's good to know. I mean, 800 grit is still very fine. Typically, if you were sanding your windows or a door, you might use, I mean, some people will use 120 or 180 and maybe stop at 320, but rarely. So that's a very fine grade of sandpaper. And what that actually infers or means is that if you took a sort of an area of that sandpaper, it would have 800 pieces of grit within a certain
per inch or something like that.
Whatever it is.
Ask a scientist.
Yeah, but it's something like that. So it's less abrasive than a 120. That's roughly what's going on there.
And then after that, just another couple of coats, repeat the sand back and polish, really.
And there's time delays between this, so do you spray like the first 5 and then leave overnight?
Normally we're building up over the course of 2 days, and then the lacquer has a week to sort of settle down into the grain, and then we'll do the final cut back and polish. So
and again, the cut back is where you take sandpaper and again an 800 grit, and it sort of with our finish and this aged finish, it still leaves the grains sort of open, so you can see the sort of sinkage in the lacquer, which again is what an old guitar looks like. And that's really what we're trying to achieve. So for anyone who looks at one of our guitars and thinks, oh, it's not a mirror finish, that's not what we're after.
That's the intention.
Exactly the intention. And what we're trying to do is, when you see one of our guitars in the shop, you kind of look at it instantly and goes, God, that's nice. And a lot of people warm towards it, and they'll sort of look at it and go, I saw that. I don't really know why I liked it as much as I did.
It's a very natural looking finish, really.
Yeah.
It's sort of like one step up from an oil finish in terms of like thickness and gloss.
Exactly, and it's something old fashioned as well. It's a
absolutely.
traditional feel to it. So I think in the modern guitar sort of finishing world, a lot of people are using polyester finishes, polyurethane finishes. There's a lot of UV curing going on to get the flattest finish that you can find, like a mirror. But what comes with that is that there's a lot of lacquer on those instruments.
I mean, they're great because when you spray a mirror finish with a poly, it's going to stay flat and perfect for the entirety of its life.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's a thick finish. Normally they're sprayed in sort of 1 or 2 passes, just straight out.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of mass to add to the top, which it really does dampen the sound.
Yeah. And if you were to weigh the two, if you could take all the finish off this and all the finish off a poly finish, there'd be such a vast difference. And that, again, the weight of an instrument and the thickness of the material, certainly on the top, makes a huge difference to a guitar. I don't really, what anybody says about that, I know for myself what I believe, and I'm not going to contradict anyone, but this for us works really well.
Yeah.
If we look at our finish, the things that you also need to realise that this finish will sort of grow old faster than a poly finish, and it will probably grow older faster than a
modern nitro.
A modern nitro finish, because our lacquer has been worked on with the manufacturer to make a lacquer that does grow old in a way that matches those vintage instruments. So if you come close, some of the things that people worry about is the way they scratch. Now, I get that. If you're worried about everyone who buys a brand new guitar, the first time they scratch it, they're like, "Oh no, I've scratched my brand new guitar. What am I going to do?"
And you've got to get that first scratch in there, because then it's your guitar and you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So not that we want you all to go and smash your guitars up, but I think it's just that letting go of this perfection. You know, that we've spent a lot of money on a guitar. We want this thing to be perfect, but in my experience, if you take any guitar in the world, none of them are perfect, you know, and there are makers out there who make the most beautiful instruments, but if you ask them if there's anything wrong with it, they know what the reality of their instruments are. And again, I'm not trying to jump on anyone's parade or anything, but that's my feeling about that. And having spoken to many guitar makers and musical instrument makers for the last 30 years, I know that we all feel the same way. Different people want different things out of a guitar. You know, if you're somebody who absolutely loves the finish of your guitar and that matters so much to you, then maybe this isn't the guitar for you, and I perfectly well accept that. But if you're somebody who wants something that does sort of grow old with you, every little mark that you make tells a story. It's like a face, I think. You know, you might not believe this, but 30 years ago, I looked about 5 years younger than I do now. And so, you know, the wrinkles in my face tell a story. Some of them good, some of them bad. But anyway, if you come close, I've got a plectrum here, and just to show you so that you can see what happens here. If I just do this, I've just put a mark in that top. I didn't press very hard. It was easy to do, but if you do hit your top, that's the sort of thing that will happen. And if you whack your guitar on the side, you'll probably chip the lacquer. But equally, lots of people don't hit their tops. And I've seen people who've played for years and years and years, they don't have a scratch on them. And we've got customers who've had them for like 2 months and they look like they've been through the wars. So that's just the deal with these guitars. But what it is a nice thin finish. And those scratches that you get here, although it is a definite mark, they don't actually look horrible, in my opinion. They look like a real vintage sort of scratch.
Well, I mean, exactly what you'd expect from a vintage guitar. You know, the lacquer that we've worked on is imitating a lacquer that's been on the guitar for 30, 40, 50 years. All the solvents come out of it. It's got real thin. And yeah, it is a little bit brittle, a little bit delicate. But as a result, you get this lovely thing where you buy a guitar off the peg and it's perfect. and then it becomes your guitar because you're putting the scratches that reflect how you play. So it sort of becomes your own personal thing, sort of like your own uncomfy pair of slippers, I suppose.
That's how we feel about this finish, and why we stand behind this finish, because the other option is that you get a polyester finish, and when you scratch that, it looks horrible.
It's hard to repair as well. Really, really difficult.
It does. It just doesn't sort of. We have lots of people who come to us and ask us to refinish things, and we have to tell them that we can't do it because, you know, the amount of lacquer on some of those instruments is. It takes hours to get it off.
Heat gun and a scraper, and you're just stripping it for hours. It's
it's
no fun.
No, that's a look at the Atkin Aged Finish. I'd also like to encourage all our wonderful Atkin owners out there who often comment on our videos and on our social media, and there's so much passion that we read, and it's really, really lovely to hear. But can you also tell the people who are watching this who don't own an Atkin how you feel about that, and whether this is a problem for you or whether it's something you like? But that'd be interesting to hear. I hope you get a chance to go into a shop and try one and see for yourself how thin it is and listen to the instrument. I mean, I think that's a really important side of this. What we're going for is this sound that, read some reviews, that it really does project in a way that is quite special and does compare to some of the best vintage instruments in the world. It's not just me saying that, it's out there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends about what we do, like us, all the things that you like to do, and yeah, we'll see you in another video soon. Cheers.
Cheers.